Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Jani Hakanpää faced the Toronto media for the first time as a Leaf today, where he gave a major update on his current injury status, and it has major implications on the Leafs heading into this season. And I'm going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. But before we get into it, we got to say that 71% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so you want to stay up to date on everything that's happening heading into this season. Make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, before we jump into the Hakanpää stuff, we gotta talk about a massive contract signing that went down today, and that is, of course, Sidney Crosby signing an extension with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And yes, we'll jump right into it here as we see from the Penguins on X. They say the captain is committed, signing Sidney Crosby to a 2-year contract extension with an annual AAV of $8.7 million. Big money for Sid the Kid, getting up there in age now. I think after this contract, it will put him around 39 to 40 years old. So most likely it's going to be the last contract for Sidney Crosby. And I've seen a lot of, backlash on X or just around the hockey world in general saying, why are you giving a 37, 38-year-old Sidney Crosby $8.7 million? But I mean, this guy's still getting it done. I mean, if we just bring up the numbers here from the past 3 seasons from Sidney Crosby, he's had an 84-point season, he's had a 93-point season, and then just last season at 36, 37 years old, putting up 94 points. So Sid the Kid has still got it. He's still got the hockey game down pat. He's like LeBron James. It's like age isn't a number for him. It isn't affecting him. Kind of reminds me of when Jaromir Jagr was still playing in the league late into his age as well. And I just think this is great for the Pittsburgh Penguins because right now they don't really have much going for them besides Malkin, Crosby, Letang, Carlson. There are a lot of older guys there. They got a younger guy here and Rucker McGroarty, who they got earlier in this offseason, who is going to be exciting to watch for Penguins fans. But it's just great to see the captain committed. You don't need to worry about him leaving for like a Toronto or something anymore. He is staying in Pittsburgh for his whole career. I think this is a perfect signing for Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think, you want to give Crosby and Malkin, those guys, a last shot at it. You got to go out here at the trade deadline, bring some guys in. If they're in a spot where they're maybe fighting for a playoff spot, bring in those guys that are going to help them out like they did with Jake Gensel last year. So I think this is a great signing for Pittsburgh. I'd love to see Sidney Crosby committed for another 3 years. It'll be 3 years including this one. So it's just great to see. We're not getting to the end of Sidney Crosby's career right now. And one thing I did want to note about the Pittsburgh Penguins, if we did bring up just their depth chart, this isn't the set lines, it's just what they have in their roster right now. There's not really a lot of names in there. Michael Bunting is one that Toronto fans are familiar with, but you got Malkin, you got Crosby, you got Lars Eller, you got a couple of these guys, but they don't really have any big names like we're used to seeing in Pittsburgh. They're kind of got all, I would say, role player guys, guys that do something that you need, but they aren't the biggest names. They're not the household names for NHL fans, but I do still think that, with Sidney Crosby being probably one of the best players of our generation, if not the best player of the past generation, I think they could definitely do something together here. It doesn't look like Sidney Crosby is slowing down anytime soon, so I'm hoping that we can see Pittsburgh, try to make that playoff push again, because I would really like to see Crosby and Malkin back into, a contending spot before they hang up the skates. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Sidney Crosby signing down below in the comment section. We're going to get into the Toronto Maple Leafs side of things, which is an update on Jani Hakanpää's injury status. And yes, this was a big topic of discussion when the Leafs first signed Jani Hakanpää, or it seemed like they first signed him way back in the beginning of the offseason. It was still up in the air. Is the knee okay? Is he going to be out on LTIR like we seen with John Klingberg last year? But today we actually got comments from Jani Hakanpää himself on his injury status, and this is what he had to say here. He said it's just a knee issue that we just got to manage throughout the year, and that's about it. Mark Masters also says here he's going to bring a lot of physicality and some good solid defense this year, and so it's great to hear that it isn't as serious as a lot of us may have expected, that he might have to miss time for this. He is still saying that it is an issue that he's going to have to manage, but it's not serious to a point where he's going to have to miss time right out of the gate for this. Now, obviously, before we dive right in, we got to talk about his stats last year. I mean, he's not going to be a guy who jumps off the point sheet to you, but this is a guy who's just a big, strong, defensive defenseman who likes laying the body, as we see him last season, having 196 hits. He's also not afraid to block those shots. He's a Brad Living type of defenseman, the big, snotty, gritty, right-handed shot defenseman, and I really do like this. And if we just bring up, the depth through the Toronto Maple Leafs defense right now, a lot of people are suspecting Connor Timmins is going to be traded. Will that happen? We're not sure, but something does need to change so they get under the cap before the end of the season, or before the beginning of the season, not the end of the season. But as we see here, he says he has to manage this injury throughout the year, and I think being that 7th D where he's not playing every single game and getting rotated in and out of this lineup every second, third game will definitely help him manage that injury. So definitely suspect to see Jani Hakanpää as a guy who's going to step up into this lineup when they think, maybe they have a really good offense coming at them the other way, like a Boston Bruins, like a Florida Panthers, like a Edmonton Oilers. And when you have one of these top offenses coming in, you really need that extra defensive layer, then this is what you're going to get by throwing Jani Hakanpää in this lineup. You're going to get a guy who's not afraid to take runs at the top stars. He's not afraid to get down in front of the puck to block shots for the goalie. So I do think that this is a great update on Hakanpää's situation. Obviously, an amazing update would be if there was no knee issue at all, but obviously there is something there. Hopefully it doesn't develop into a big injury to this season, because the last thing we want to see is Jani Hakanpää go out on LTIR like we seen with John Klingberg last year, because we were so excited to see John Klingberg last year, just as much as I'm really excited to see Hakanpää, because I think this guy's one of the most underrated defensive defensemen in the entire NHL, and I think he's really going to put a shift in for the Toronto Maple Leafs team this upcoming season. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the whole Hakanpää situation down below in the comment section. Love hearing from you guys. But we're gonna get into the everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Alan. Shout out to you, Alan. Really appreciate seeing your comment on yesterday's video. He said they will wait for John Tavares' contract to expire, then pay JT a few million and use JT money to pay Marner on his new contract. And this is something I have been saying for a long time. You don't need to worry about Marner's contract. You're saying we're going to keep the same payout structure. I've seen that down in the comment section multiple times, but you're not keeping the same pay, plan, because, you're losing that $11 million John Tavares contract, which is a lot, because you're going to probably get this guy back, I would say around a Sidney Crosby number, maybe a $7, maybe a $6, $7, $8 million deal. I would be on the more of the 6-7 side, in my opinion. And then so that means you're losing $6 million off your cap, just taking half his salary away at $11 million right now. You're going to get around 5.5 of free cap there. So you get Marner back up in the Nylander range, his range of $11 million. You still got a lot of money to work with here, and it's not the same pay structure. I think this is really going to help the Toronto Maple Leafs out in the future, and I really do think you would miss out on a guy like Mitch Marner if you let him walk. But appreciate your comment on the video, Alan. Love seeing all your guys' thoughts on what we're talking about here on the channel. If you guys enjoyed this one, make sure down below hit that like button. It helps push these videos out to all the NHL fans on YouTube. Also, comment on the video. You might feature in the next comment of the day, just like our buddy Alan was today, and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the start of the season. So if you're not subscribed already, want to keep up to date on everything that's happening heading into this season, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out a video we did the other day talking about the Mitch Marner situation, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, Casey. Keep your stick on the ice.